The first sign of sabotage was subtle. On Monday morning, Lyra logged into the system to prepare for a progress check with Adrian. She navigated to her project folder, Chrono_Rebirth/concept/memory worlds, and froze. The subfolder was empty. Her sketches, her 3D blockouts, weeks of work, gone. Her pulse spiked. She refreshed the drive. Nothing. She checked her backups. Corrupted. Lyra yanked off her glasses and rubbed her eyes. No, this can't be real. She had stayed countless nights refining the City of Light, layering details until the environments pulsed with life. And now, everything had vanished as if it never existed. Something wrong? She looked up. Ethan leaned on the divider of her cubicle, sipping coffee, his grin faint but unmistakably smug. My files, she muttered. They're missing. Ethan feigned sympathy, shaking his head. Tough break. Guess that's what happens when you mess with the system and don't know how to safeguard your work. Rookie mistake. Her stomach sank. His tone wasn't casual, it was deliberate. By noon, whispers had already begun. She lost everything. No backups. Amateur move. I heard she copied half her stuff from another studio anyway. The last line hit hardest. That afternoon, Cassandra from the commercial division cornered her near the coffee machine. Listen, Lyra. I don't know what you're trying to pull, but if it's true you're recycling work from other sources, you'd better hope Marcus doesn't take this upstairs. Aurora can't afford another plagiarism scandal. Lyra's chest tightened. It's not true. Every line, every brushstroke is mine. Cassandra raised an eyebrow, unconvinced. Prove it. But how could she? The files were gone. The backups corrupted. The timing was too precise to be coincidence. She spent the next 2 nights at the office, rebuilding from memory. Her stylus moved frantically, her eyes bloodshot behind her glasses. Every time she paused, she heard the whispers echoing in her head, plagiarist, thief, fraud. On the 3rd day, Marcus summoned her. His office was all glass and steel, immaculate like the man himself. He stood by the window as she entered, hands clasped behind his back. Sit, he said without turning. She obeyed, clutching her sketchpad. I hear troubling things, Marcus began. His tone was calm, almost gentle, which made it worse. Whispers that your work resembles designs from a European studio. An unfortunate coincidence, I'm sure. Her voice shook with anger. That's a lie. You know it. Marcus finally turned, his gaze cool, unreadable. Do I? Files vanish. Backups corrupted. It looks suspicious. The board doesn't like suspicious. Lyra leaned forward, fire burning in her chest. You think you can scare me into quitting? You can delete files, you can spread rumors, but you can't erase my ideas. For the first time, Marcus's mask cracked. His lips curled into the faintest smile. Ideas don't matter if no one believes they're yours. The words chilled her. He wasn't denying it. He was reveling in it. When she left his office, Ethan was waiting in the hall. He clapped slowly, mocking. Careful, Lyra. People around here don't last long when they make Marcus look bad. Her fists clenched, but she forced herself to walk past him. That night, the office was nearly empty again. Lyra sat at her desk, exhausted, her hands trembling over the tablet. The City of Light shimmered faintly on her screen, a half-finished rebuild, fragile and incomplete. She wanted to scream. To give up. To walk out and never return. Instead, she whispered to herself, if they want to bury me, I'll build something so brilliant they can't. Her stylus moved again, faster, sharper. Every line was defiance. Every beam of light she drew was a weapon. But in the shadows of the studio, Marcus and Ethan were already plotting their next move. And this time, rumors wouldn't be enough. The days after the rumor storm were some of the loneliest Lyra had ever faced. Colleagues who once nodded politely now avoided her. Conversations stopped when she entered a room. Even the interns, usually curious and eager, whispered behind their screens when she passed. But Lyra refused to stop. Every night she stayed late, rebuilding the City of Light from memory, her stylus carving defiance into pixels. She slept on the office couch, her ocean blue hair tangled, her glasses smudged from hours of strain. On the third night, as she sat alone with her half-finished sketches, a voice broke the silence. "You're still here?" Lyra turned sharply. Standing in the doorway was Maya, a junior environment artist barely 6 months into Aurora. Her dark hoodie hung loose, her laptop tucked under her arm. Lyra sighed. "Couldn't sleep." Maya stepped closer, peering at the glowing city on the screen. Her eyes widened. This is incredible." Lyra adjusted her glasses. "It's unfinished. And apparently, unmarketable." Maya shook her head. "Forget Cassandra. This is the kind of design that made me want to work in games in the first place." She hesitated, then lowered her voice. "We know what Marcus and Ethan are doing. You're not crazy. They've sabotaged others before. You're just the first one to fight back." Lyra blinked. "We?" Two more figures stepped into the room, Noah, a young concept intern with paint-stained hands, and Kai, a technical artist barely older than Lyra. They exchanged nervous glances, then nodded. "We've been watching," Kai said. "And, we want to help." Lyra's throat tightened. After days of isolation, the words felt like water in a desert. "Why?" she asked softly. Noah grinned sheepishly. "Because you're the only one around here doing something that feels alive." For a moment, Lyra couldn't speak. Then she smiled faintly, the first genuine smile in days. They gathered around her workstation. Maya booted up her laptop, Noah spread sketchbooks across the desk, and Kai connected his rig to run stress tests. The quiet office filled with the hum of collaboration. Hour after hour, they worked side by side. Lyra guided the vision, sketching luminous towers and fractured bridges. Maya translated the ideas into 3D blocks, adjusting angles and perspectives. Noah added bursts of color, experimenting with palette variations that made the city glow like stained glass. Kai optimized rendering tricks, ensuring the fragile world wouldn't collapse under performance pressure. For the first time since the sabotage, Lyra didn't feel alone. As dawn crept through the glass walls, the four of them leaned back, exhausted but exhilarated. On the screen shimmered a near-complete version of the City of Light, reborn stronger than before, refined through shared hands and minds. Noah whistled low. "If this doesn't shut them up, nothing will." Lyra rubbed her eyes beneath her glasses, smiling weakly. "It won't shut them up. But it'll remind them why I'm here." Maya leaned forward, her tone fierce. "Then let us stand with you. You don't have to fight this war alone." Lyra looked at them, these young artists, unpolished but burning with the same fire she carried, and something shifted inside her. The isolation, the whispers, Marcus's threats, they hadn't crushed her. They had forced her to find her true allies. She realized now, Aurora wasn't just a battlefield. It was a forge. And in the fire, she was no longer just the outsider. She was becoming a leader. That night, as the others left with promises to return, Lyra lingered at her desk, gazing at the luminous city glowing on her screen. For the first time in weeks, her chest didn't feel so heavy. But even as she allowed herself a moment of hope, she knew Marcus and Ethan wouldn't stay silent. The war wasn't over. It had only just begun. And this time, she had an army. The boardroom was packed, the kind of gathering that decided fates. Executives from across Aurora's division sat around the long mahogany table, laptops open, expressions guarded. Marcus stood near the head of the room, radiating authority. Ethan lingered at his side, smirk sharpened into a blade. At the far end sat Adrian Cross, quiet but alert, his hands folded. Beside him, Lyra clutched her sketchpad, the weight of expectation pressing hard against her chest. Her allies, Maya, Noah, and Kai, sat near the back, their presence small but steadying. Marcus opened the meeting. Today, we'll be reviewing progress on Chrono Rebirth. Specifically, the controversial memory worlds. He cast a glance at Lyra, voice dripping with disdain. Miss Valen will present her vision. Afterward, Ethan will provide a more grounded alternative. Ethan's grin widened. Lyra rose, adjusting her silver glasses. Her heart hammered, but her voice, when it came, was steady. The memory worlds aren't just levels. They're experiences. They reflect the fragility of human memory, unstable, luminous, fragmented. Each environment is tied to player choices, creating a personal journey that no two players will share. The projector lit up with her work. The city of light shimmered across the screen, towers refracting into infinite colors, bridges dissolving into streams of memory. Gasps escaped around the table. Even the most stoic executives leaned forward. Then Marcus struck. Impractical, he snapped. Beautiful, yes, but unplayable. Rendering a city made of refracted light? Impossible without crippling performance. Ethan jumped in. Not to mention disorienting. Players will quit before they find their bearings. It's indulgence masquerading as innovation. The murmurs began, doubt, skepticism, cracks forming. Lyra's throat tightened. She had expected this, but the weight of Marcus's authority threatened to bury her. Then she remembered her allies. She clicked to the next slide. Maya's 3D layouts filled the screen, streamlined pathways through the luminous city, guiding players subtly while preserving the illusion of chaos. Kai's optimizations flickered in graphs, rendering costs reduced, frame rates stable. Noah's color variations burst onto the display, showing adaptive palettes for different emotional tones. The murmurs shifted. All replaced doubt. Lyra lifted her chin. Yes, it's ambitious. But we've proven it's feasible. It's not chaos, it's carefully guided design. The City of Light isn't just art. It's playable. And unforgettable. Marcus's face tightened. Ethan's smirk faltered. An executive from marketing leaned forward. If this works, the visuals alone could drive trailers viral. It's unlike anything on the market. Cassandra from the commercial division frowned, clinging to skepticism. But will it sell? Players may not understand it. Lyra met her gaze. They don't have to understand it. They'll feel it. And that's what they'll remember. Safe sells once. Iconic sells forever. The room stilled. Ethan stood abruptly, frustration cracking his mask. Or we could just use my designs. He projected his own work, fortresses, forests, ruins. Familiar. Marketable. Safe. This is what players recognize. This is what guarantees sales. But compared to Lyra's shimmering city, his designs looked lifeless. Derivative. Forgotten before the slide even changed. Adrian finally spoke, his voice calm but cutting. Safe is what nearly killed Aurora. Lyra's vision is risk, yes. But risk is life. Without it, we're already dead. Silence. Heavy. Electric. The board members exchanged glances. Slowly, one by one, they nodded. The memory worlds move forward, Adrian declared. Marcus's jaw clenched. Ethan's fists tightened at his sides. Their defeat was silent but sharp, a wound neither would forgive. Lyra exhaled, her chest loosening for the first time in days. She glanced back at Maya, Noah, and Kai, who grinned from the shadows. For the first time, she felt not just like a survivor, but a leader. But as she gathered her things, she caught Marcus's eyes. Cold. Calculating. This battle was hers. But the war was far from over. The triumph in the boardroom hadn't lasted long. For a few days, Lyra walked through the halls with her head higher, her allies smiling at her with pride. The City of Light had survived Marcus and Ethan's assault, and Adrian had declared it the soul of Chrono Rebirth. For the first time, Lyra felt like she belonged. But victories at Aurora came with a cost. By the following week, emails began to flood her inbox. Notes from Cassandra's team in the commercial division. Requests for adjustments. Suggestions for streamlining. Phrases like too abstract and not consumer-friendly repeated like a mantra. At first, they were small. Simplify this structure. Brighten the palette to feel less alien. Add recognizable landmarks players could latch onto. Then they grew harsher. Replace the fractured towers with something more like a cathedral. Remove the floating bridges, too confusing. Tone down the light effects, they'll overwhelm the market trailers. Every revision chipped away at her vision. Late one night, Lyra sat at her desk staring at two versions of the city on her screen. One was hers, luminous, surreal, shimmering like memory itself. The other was their adjusted version, safer, flatter, easier to sell. Her reflection glimmered faintly in her glasses. For the first time, she felt the question pressing heavy on her chest, am I fighting for art, or am I just fighting for myself? Across the office, Maya appeared with 2 coffees in hand. She set one beside Lyra. You look like you're about to murder your screen. Lyra gave a tired laugh. Maybe I am. They want me to strip it down. To make it marketable. She gestured at the safer version on the monitor. This is what they want. A shadow of what it was supposed to be. Maya frowned, shaking her head. If you give them this, you're no different from Ethan. You'll be safe. Forgettable. Lyra leaned back, rubbing her temples. But if I don't, I could doom the whole project. Adrian can only protect me so far. If sales flop, it's on me. Maya leaned forward, her voice fierce. Do you want to survive, or do you want to matter? The words echoed in her chest. The next day, she presented the adjusted version at a progress sync. Marcus sat smugly, Cassandra nodded approvingly, Ethan smirked. But when the slides clicked forward, Lyra hesitated. Her finger hovered over the remote. She glanced toward the back of the room, where Maya, Noah, and Kai sat. Their faces were tight with worry. Her pulse raced. She thought of every night she had spent rebuilding, every whisper that called her a fraud, every time Marcus tried to bury her. And then she did something reckless. She switched to her true version. The City of Light exploded onto the screen, luminous, surreal, unapologetic. Gasps filled the room. Cassandra's face hardened, Marcus's eyes narrowed, Ethan muttered a curse. This, Lyra said, her voice firm, is the City of Light. Not the watered-down version. This is what makes Chrono Rebirth more than a product. It makes it unforgettable. Cassandra slammed her pen on the table. This is not what we agreed on. Do you understand the risk you're taking? Lyra's heart pounded, but she didn't flinch. Yes. And I'd rather risk failure than erase the soul of this project. The room erupted in whispers, half in outrage, half in awe. Marcus leaned back, expression cold but eyes glinting with fury. Ethan sat rigid, his smirk long gone. And Adrian, at the far end, smiled faintly, almost imperceptibly. When the meeting adjourned, Lyra knew the consequences were coming. The pressure would only mount. But as she walked out, shoulders squared, she felt something unshakable settle inside her. She had chosen. No compromise. No retreat. The studio was tense on the day of the final concept review. Everyone knew this wasn't just another meeting, it was the judgment of Chrono Rebirth's soul. Executives filled the room, Cassandra perched like a hawk near the front, Marcus stone-faced at her side, Ethan practically vibrating with impatience. Adrian sat quietly, watching, though Lyra could feel his eyes on her. Her allies, Maya, Noah, and Kai sat along the back wall, their expressions tight but hopeful. Lyra stood at the projector, her stylus trembling slightly in her hand. This was it. Weeks of sabotage, whispers, and pressure had led to this moment. She inhaled, steadying herself, and began. Today, I'm presenting the final version of the City of Light. The first slide appeared. Gasps rippled across the room. The city rose from the sea of memory, luminous towers refracting infinite colors, but now it breathed with a rhythm that was both surreal and accessible. Pathways glowed subtly beneath the players' feet, guiding them through the chaos without shattering the illusion. Bridges shimmered but were stabilized with faint lines of memory threads, gameplay-friendly, yet still otherworldly. Kai's optimizations ran in real time on the screen, showing stable frame rates even as the city fractured and reassembled. Maya's layout guided the audience through a seamless exploration path. Noah's color variations shifted dynamically, adapting the emotional palette to the player's choices. It wasn't watered down. It wasn't safe. But it was playable. It was both art and game. This design, Lyra continued, her voice growing stronger, keeps the essence of memory, unstable, luminous, fragile. But it also gives players clarity. They won't be lost, they'll be immersed. Guided without realizing they're guided. And every choice they make will shape the colors, the architecture, the tone of their city. No two players will ever see the same world. The room was silent, entranced. Then Cassandra spoke, her tone sharp. It's still a gamble. Even if the performance holds, the market might not understand something so abstract. Lyra didn't flinch. That's why it works. Trailers won't just show another castle, another forest. They'll show this. A city unlike anything else. It won't need explanation. It will burn itself into memory. Murmurs spread. One executive from marketing leaned forward. She's right. This could be our hook. Something iconic. Another nodded reluctantly. If the optimization data is accurate, we can sell this. It's risky, but bold sells. Marcus finally spoke, his voice icy. Or it sinks us. And then we'll know exactly who to blame. Adrian leaned forward, cutting through the tension. Or it saves us. And then we'll know exactly who to thank. The silence was electric. All eyes turned back to Lyra, her blue hair catching the light, her glasses gleaming. For the first time, she didn't shrink under the weight of their gaze. She met it, steady, unshaken. The head of the board finally nodded. Proceed with this version. The City of Light will be the face of Chrono Rebirth. The decision landed like a thunderclap. Ethan's face twisted, disbelief breaking through his mask. Marcus's jaw clenched so tightly it seemed carved from stone. Cassandra pursed her lips, but even she didn't argue further. Lyra exhaled slowly, the weight lifting off her chest. She glanced toward the back, where Maya, Noah, and Kai were grinning, fists clenched in silent victory. She had done it. Not by compromise. Not by submission. But by finding a way to let creativity and reality coexist without killing the soul of her vision. When the meeting adjourned, executives crowded Adrian with questions about rollout. Cassandra busied herself with numbers. Marcus and Ethan slipped out silently, but not before Marcus shot her a look, a cold, promising glare that said, "This isn't over." Lyra gathered her things slowly, letting the reality sink in. She wasn't invisible anymore. She wasn't the outsider, the rookie, the target. She was the artist who had saved Aurora from itself. But as she walked out into the hallway, Adrian caught up with her. He spoke softly, just for her. You've proven yourself. More than I hoped. But know this, winning once doesn't mean the war is over. You've put yourself in the light. And some people only survive in the shadows. Lyra nodded, her chest tightening. She understood. This was victory. But the ending had yet to be written. The first trailer for Chrono Rebirth premiered on a rainy Thursday evening. Aurora's employees gathered in the common space, the lights dimmed, the air buzzing with nervous anticipation. Lyra stood near the back, clutching a paper cup of cold coffee, her heart pounding against her ribs. The screen flickered to life. Music swelled. And there it was, the City of Light. Towers refracted infinite colors, bridges dissolved and reformed with every step, memories shimmered like living constellations. The visuals were haunting and breathtaking, unlike anything the industry had seen in years. When the trailer ended, silence filled the room for a split second, then the internet exploded. Notifications flooded phones, Twitter feeds erupted with clips, Discord servers buzzed with awe. What is this city? Aurora's back. Damn, I didn't expect this. This looks like a dream I never want to wake up from. The trailer went viral overnight, hitting millions of views. Gaming sites called it a surreal revolution. Fans dissected every frame, speculating on mechanics, lore, symbolism. For the first time in years, Aurora wasn't mocked for stagnation. It was celebrated for daring to risk again. In the days that followed, Lyra's name spread quietly but unmistakably through the studio halls. She wasn't just the rookie anymore. She was the artist who saved the project. Adrian summoned her to his office a week later. "You've done more than anyone expected," he said, his voice steady but warm. "The City of Light has become our signature. The board is impressed. I want you as associate art director on the next phase." Lyra's breath caught. Associate art director. The words tasted unreal. She adjusted her glasses, swallowing her shock. Thank you. I won't let you down." Adrian smiled faintly. "Don't thank me. Thank yourself. You earned this. Just be ready. The higher you rise, the sharper the knives waiting." The warning lingered in her chest. That evening, Maya, Noah, and Kai surprised her with a small celebration in the break room. A cake with sloppy frosting, coffee instead of champagne, laughter echoing through the empty office. "To the City of Light," Noah toasted. "To Lyra," Maya corrected, raising her cup. Lyra smiled, her chest swelling with something she hadn't felt in a long time, belonging. But even as joy filled the room, she couldn't shake the shadows lurking at the edges. Because Marcus and Ethan hadn't vanished. Late one night, as Lyra packed up, she passed Marcus's office. The light was still on. Inside, Marcus stood by the window, Ethan pacing furiously. Their voices were muffled, but Lyra caught fragments. "She's dangerous now. Can't let her control the next phase. We'll make sure she falls, publicly." She froze in the hallway, heart tightening. For a moment, fear gnawed at her. But then she adjusted her glasses, exhaled, and walked away. Let them plot. Let them scheme. She had faced worse. Because Lyra knew now that she wasn't alone. She had allies, vision, and something Marcus and Ethan could never fabricate, imagination that refused to die. The next morning, Aurora's lobby buzzed with reporters, eager to glimpse the faces behind the City of Light. For the first time, when cameras flashed, Lyra didn't shrink. She stepped forward, blue hair glimmering under the lights, glasses catching the flash, her presence steady and unafraid. The outsider had become the face of Aurora's rebirth. And though the shadows still whispered, for now, the light was hers. Thanks for watching.